Hello there, I am TheProffa and you are on Spotlit, where English literature comes alive. Enjoy! So the other day I was on Facebook. Like many older people, I have a very old profile. And I was reading a newspaper article on a Pride March that is going to take place in my town tomorrow, the 6th of June 2024. And under that, of course, comments ranged from approval to sheer disapproval. But one of them struck me as one of the dumbest comments I have ever read. And a woman, maybe, I don't know, because on the internet you never know, and especially in social media. And she said, rights are not conquered this way. And she meant by pride marches, which a lot of people tend to think are a sort of carnival. And I got very angry about it because it's exactly how you do that. When you are invisible for your society, you have to make yourself visible. And this kind of thing is exactly what you need to make yourself visible. Young lady on Facebook, let me tell you something that women did in Britain when their right to vote was not acknowledged. Now, suffragettes, as they were known, were campaigning to obtain the vote, which nobody wanted to give them. And it was the early 1900s, right? The early 20th century. And the theme was so hot that the population was divided. A lot of people, even a lot of women, thought that a woman's place was in the house, with the family, with the kids, whatever. And so propaganda to ridicule and belittle the women who campaigned for suffrage was commonly found even in posters and magazines. It was believed that women's place was not in politics. And Emmeline Pankhurst, the leader of the movement, became the leader of the movement, was a very, very brave and very clever woman. And once she was arrested and tried in court, and she said, "We are not here to be lawbreakers. We do not want to become that. We want to be lawmakers." And that is what these women wanted. But everything they got from the media of the time, radios or most commonly newspapers, was either ridicule or they were ignored. Therefore, they set out with things that would make them known. And they resorted to damaging property, expressively not damaging people, but just property. So they smashed the windows, put dynamite or explosive in post boxes, and once even put a bomb, an incendiary bomb, in Lloyd George's house. It was a house in the country that was being built, but they damaged that. And because that way you can become visible and your requests become visible. Why pride marches? Where does this come from? Well, in case you don't know, this comes from Stonewall. Stonewall was a pub in the US, well, a gay bar, located in the Greenwich Village in New York City. And the customers were very often harassed by the police. And the violence that the customers were subjected to eventually sparked a 6-day riot that marked a turning point in the fight for gay rights. And the next year, on June the 28th, 1970, the first Gay Pride Parade was organized in the anniversary of the Stonewall Raid. And this started from the Stonewall bar itself. We have photos and videos that are really very nice. And what the Stonewall protesters were very tired of is that they were being criminalized for their sexuality, because being gay at the time constituted a crime punishable by law. Marriages were prohibited. So anyone who says that the LGBTQIA plus community is fighting needlessly is telling a lie. Because until their rights are recognized and publicly acknowledged, then society is at fault, and they are very right to tell us that. I'm an ally, all right. I am not particularly gay myself, but it is only right that these rights are acknowledged. And think that in the US at the time, if you were even suspected of being gay, you would not be served drinks in public. Bartenders would kick you out. Is it a right? Of course it is not. And if you remember Alan Turing, possibly one of the most well-known cases of sexual discrimination, he was punished and sentenced to criminal castration because he was caught out. And eventually, possibly, this is still debatable, but accepted as the most common answer, committed suicide. To finish, let me read a poem by Adrienne Rich to you. This poem is from 1995, and Adrienne Rich is a gay author, and the poem was written as an answer to Bertolt Brecht's famous 1930 poem To Those Who Follow in Our Wake, and is a bitter, although very poetic, reflection on what's happening with protest. And it was it's a few years ago, but I think it still stands today. So here is Adrienne Rich. What kind of times are these? There's a place between two stands of trees where the grass grows uphill, and the old revolutionary road breaks off into shadows, near a meeting house abandoned by the persecuted who disappeared into those shadows. I've walked there picking mushrooms at the edge of dread. But don't be fooled, this isn't a Russian poem. This is not somewhere else, but here. Our country moving closer to its own truth and dread, its own ways of making people disappear. I won't tell you where the place is, the dark mesh of the woods meeting the unmarked strip of light, ghost-ridden crossroads, leaf-mold paradise. I know already who wants to buy it, sell it, make it disappear. And I won't tell you where it is, so why do I tell you anything? Because you still listen, because in times like these, to have you listen at all, it's necessary to talk about trees. What times are these, in which a conversation about trees is almost a crime, for in doing so we maintain our silence about so much wrongdoing. There, I hope you enjoyed this. Happy Pride, everyone. This is all for today. Thank you for listening, and check out my next episode. Proffa out.